What's up, everyone? It is your girl Gel Beauty 87 here, aka Grace, and we're gonna get into another my top 10 palettes from. So this episode of top 10 palettes from is from none other than, we already did Mother Pat, so of course who we gotta do next but Miss Natasha Denona. So I got 10 palettes here to talk about, talking about what I like about the palettes, and then we're gonna do an eye look with one of the 10 palettes, so you can get an idea how the formula and things like that work for the brand if you're not familiar with the brand, and just because I feel like playing with some old palettes, and to me this is another way of being able to play with my palettes and get a good return on my investment, girl, because I spent lots of coins on all these palettes that are sitting around me now, and we need to find ways to repurpose and reuse them other than Instagram and making a video once or twice just showing it needs to be used. So without further ado, let's get into it, girl. So I'm gonna start off with the minis, because I did put some minis in here because I don't own, like, believe it or not, I don't think I even own, well, I do own 10 Natasha Denona palettes, but I want to talk about 10 Natasha Denona palettes I actually really like and reach for consistently. So these are the ones out of my collection that I reach for the most, believe it or not. So that's why I want to talk about them the most. So let's start with the Natasha Denona Mini Xenon palette. So when I need a black smoky eye on the go-to and I'm in a rush, this is what I reach for. I don't own the ColourPop one. I just bought this one. I do own the Kaleidos one, but that one lives here at my grandma's house for when I'm here and I need to rush and do an eye look really quick. So sometimes I leave different things in different places, but I really like this one. Not to say I don't like the what is it, the Kaleidos one. It's just I like this one better because I feel like it has an extra shade for me to use that one doesn't. So I prefer this one, and the quality on this is really nice for 25 bucks. So I thought it was a steal, and I made sure I got my hands up. No, brushes were not brushes. We are not falling. We are filming. We are not falling. Thank you. Sorry. Okay, so the next one I have is the Natasha Denona Mini Tropic palette. So if you all remember, this was the row that gave the most trouble in the palette. So she recreated a mini just with these shades, basically the fun shades in the palette, because even she realized it wasn't that great because her followers were talking about it wasn't that great and all that. So the late great Mel Thompson was saying that certain shades in this one are better than in the other palette, and then some other shades in the original palette are better than this palette. I don't remember exactly which one she said was which, but I like this palette just fine. I've used, I think, a good majority of the shades in here. I think the only shade I didn't use was the green. I think I literally used everything else except for this green shade right here. So without the green, it just made me a nice blue purple look, and y'all know I'm about a blue purple look, so I have on a green purple look today. But you know, be that as it may, I really like this palette, and when I need to go to colorful one for vacation. So basically I like to take these on vacation too, because it's like it's a quality product, and I know it didn't cost a whole bunch of money. Not the 25 bucks isn't a whole bunch of money for eyeshadow, but especially because it's only 5, but you know what I'm saying. Like, you know, if these broke as opposed to one of my bigger size Natasha Denona palettes, I wouldn't be as upset, because sometimes you can get these for like 50% off. So the next one I have is the Natasha Denona Mini Love palette. I know a lot of people didn't like the Love palette or the Mini Love palette. I actually like both of them, so you will see the Love palette in here. It's unfortunate she discontinued it, but it's like since so many people weren't that big a fan of it, she just went ahead and got rid of it. I think this is a shifting shade if I remember correctly, and then the rest of them are just traditional romantic shades. Again, like if I had to rush out of the hotel room and I need to get a quick look going, I know I can use this on the outer V. I can use this in my crease, this on my lid, one of these in the inner corner. I can rush off and go do what I need to do for the day, and I'll still be looking fabulous. And I know these are going to blend out easily and nicely. So sometimes when brands come out with small things like this, like Pat McGrath came out with that mini ecstasy eye kit, I still own that because I take that on vacation. So I just take a lot of the cheaper versions of the quality products in my collection and take them on vacation, and that's how I justify having these smaller palettes in my collection, because otherwise I feel like I would never really reach for them. I truly had to be in a rush to get to work or something in order for them to make sense of the type of collection that I have. But I still felt the need to show them for people who want to start out and try out Natasha Denona and don't necessarily want to break the bank, because like I said, a lot of these be going 50% off. Like the Tropic one is 50% off right now. The Mini Gold is 50% off right now. So you can get a good deal on a Natasha Denona palette. Next I have, or 5 paint I guess. Next I have the Mini Crush palette. Again, I really like the color story of this one. She came out with this one last year instead of coming out with a midi size palette for Valentine's Day like she did with the Midi Love. But I really like the color story of this one a little bit better than that one. But I do like to combine both of these together sometimes, because there are little subtle differences in them. Like this has a more sparkle to it, and as you can see, I feel like this would be a nice little cute palette. So maybe she could have made like a a midi crush palette next time for Valentine's Day next year. I think that'll be cool because I'd like to see what she would expand on when it comes to these shades. Will we get like some deeper purples like we did in the other one or whatnot? I'm not sure, but I like those. So those are the 4 minis that I choose from. I don't do a lot of neutral looks though, so, and as I'm about to sit here and talk about a neutral palette from Natasha, but you know, that's because I like mainly the face products in it. I don't really use it for the eye products. I'll use the eye products if I'm in a rush and I need to get to work. Like I said, basically, like when it comes to neutrals, I must be in a super rush and I still want to look halfway presentable without having to spend 40 minutes to blend. And I know Natasha and Pat McGrath or Charlotte Tilbury will be able to do that for me. So next we're going to talk about the Natasha Denona Glam Face Palette. Of course, I have the one in the shade dark. I think she has a light and a dark, and that's it. So there's not even a medium. So I feel bad for people like Karen Harris that are like medium and tan that have to either choose the one from me or choose the one that's a little too light and try to make it work for them and whatnot. So I feel like brands need to start doing more medium tan things instead of just light, medium, dark. Like there are people that will run in between these categories and you should probably pay attention to them too. But this is what the dark one looks like. I think Karen has both of them and she said she uses them on her friends when they come to visit, the light one, because obviously she has to use the dark one because there is no medium one for her. I like this palette okay. What I don't like about these type of palettes and why I didn't buy the Glam palette is, believe it or not, and Mel Thompson said this, sorry, the late great Mel Thompson said the same thing I said, like, you know, I don't like you naming the shades where I should put them. Like, I paid my $60, I'll put them wherever the hell I feel like. And I know that probably sounds really petty to some people, but that's like legit why I didn't buy the Glam palette. Aside from the fact like there's a whole bunch of colors I don't really use that often or that I already had repeats of in my collection. So it's like if she has the bundle deal like she had last time with the bronze and the Glam palette combined, then maybe I'll get it. But otherwise, those are two that I just probably will never have in my collection just because I'm like, I don't feel the need for them. But this is what it looks like. The blush in mine is still good, and so is the highlighter. I know Morgan Turner said like the blush and the light one had already dried out on her and she hadn't even had the palette that long, but mine is still good and working strong. I think I used this palette like maybe a couple of months ago and everything was fine with it. Yeah, it still feels nice and soft and creamy now as I just rubbed it on my finger. So I don't know if it's something different in the formulation for the one on my skin tone versus the one on her skin tone, but she said the one in the light palette dries out. So I just want you to be informed about that while watching this video. Well, the eyeshadows work fine. It's just, this isn't like my go-to color story, but it is a go-to for me out of all my Natasha Denona things for when I'm in a rush and I need to get out the door. It's something easy, quick, and simple. So I'm trying to decide if I should use this for the video just because you can see how multiple products from the brand works as opposed to just seeing how her eyeshadows work, because you'll see how her highlighter works. You'll see how her cream blush works. So I think we're going to go ahead and use this one, even though I have more colorful fun ones I would prefer to use. But the one I want to use, I feel like is cheating. So I should probably, well no, I got 2 middies to show before I show that one. But I'll show that one first out of the full $129 ones. Even though I think they went up from $129 to $131 or $132. Just like these went up from $65 to $69. So this is the Love palette like I talked about. This is her midi size palette. This is one of my favorite midi sized palettes. The Love, I really love, the color story of this palette. I like that it has like the red berryish type tones to it, but it still has some nice purpley mauvish type tones going on too for people who like that sort of thing. And I like to mix purples and reds sometimes, or I like to mix mauve and purple sometimes. So I feel like she did a good job with this color story. The funny thing is, when I first tried this palette, I didn't like the formula on it. It wasn't ever the color story I didn't like about this, it was the formula that I didn't like about it. But I was still trying to adjust to the cream to powder formula. So once I got the hang of it, then this became one of my favorite midi palettes. I think it's one other one I like okay, but it's still not my favorite. Like, this is my favorite midi palette of all the ones she has, and this is actually my most used midi palette out of all the ones she has besides like the Face Glam, and that's because it has multiple products in it for me to use, so it's just easier to reach and grab for. So I'm not going to do that one though because they don't make that one anymore. Unfortunately, she discontinued it, so you can't get it. Believe it or not, I like the Zendo palette unlike other people. A lot of people talking about the formula on this. Now, I will say the formula on this is nearly as good as her other ones, but I really like the color story of this. And I always get really nice looks at it. Like, you all liked the look I did with these blues over here in this little taupe shade right here. I actually did, I think, like a YouTube short on it, so you could see how I got the look. But I really like this palette. The only thing I'm not crazy about is the fact that it's more warm tone heavy than cool tone. But I feel like this, if you want another version of this with better quality, maybe you should try the Nomad one. I'm not sure about the Nomad one. I'm gonna buy it during their 35% off sale on Cyber Monday, and I'm thinking about comparing this one to that one. You all can let me know down below if you're interested or not. But I like the color story of this for the most part. It's just I'm more concerned with this side than I am with the warm tone side, and since the warm tone side kind of overpowers the cool tone side, it's just kind of like But see, I'm getting ideas and other videos of ideas for other videos, so how about that? I love when stuff like that happens. So now let me show you the palette I was talking about that I feel like would be cheating if I showed it, if I did an eye look with it. Because if you all didn't notice, Natasha Denona has holes in the back of these palettes because you can pop out the shades and make your own palette. So that's what I did with the Circle Local palette. If you know anything about me, you know I don't like the color orange. And I feel like there were way too many oranges in this palette for me to like the palette. So it wasn't I didn't like the palette, it was just I didn't like how many oranges she put in the palette. So what did I do? I remade mine. So I took the purple and then I basically called the fun shades out of the Tropic palette, the bottom row, and just put them in here. So like this is the green from the Tropic palette, and then this is the fun shimmery shade from the Tropic palette. And if I remember correctly, it's this purple that's from the Tropic palette, and then this blue up here is from Tropic palette, Laguna. So it's like I took all the fun shades out of the Tropic palette and kind of made my own pastel cotton candy-ish version of the Circle Local palette. And I really love the way this looks. Funny thing is, I think I've only done one look with this palette after recreating it, but I think it just looks stunning. I have it over here right now because I gotta compare it to the Glamorous palette from Glaminatrix when it finally showed up to me. I bought it in when it launched for the pre-order, but it's supposed to show up this month, so hopefully it gets here at the end of this month and I can have the video up so I can finally take this home, because I really want to do an eye look with it, but I have no idea what I'm going to do, so I should probably think about that while I still have it sitting here. But this was the one I was telling y'all I was thinking was cheating, but I really love this palette. This is easily one of my favorite big Natasha Denona palettes. The other two I have sitting here are my other two favorites, so let's get into those. Now I was thinking about doing a look with this palette as well, because I've only done like one or two looks with it off camera. I didn't buy it when it first came out and was super popular, because it was when she still hadn't like got her cream to powder formula perfectly. And so I feel like you should know what I'm talking about. This is the Metropolis palette from Natasha Denona. I just bought this year when she came out with it again in 2022. When she restocked it, I was like, I'll go ahead and try it now since I'm used to her cream to powder formula. But this was after she had did the cranberry palette, and then I think like one other palette with the cream to powder formula was horrible, and everybody was talking about how horrible it was. So I was like, I wouldn't go risk it. This is a $129 palette, and I'm like, I'm not about to drop $129 in this trash, and then I gotta try to take it back to Sephora, and then I gotta try to do this and this and that. But then everybody raved about how wonderful this was. The late great Mel Thompson was raving about how wonderful this was, and then every other YouTuber I know was raving about how wonderful this was. So that's when I was like, well, maybe I should have got it. And then by the time I finally was gonna just go ahead and get it, because they were still selling at Sephora at the time, that's when they sold out of it, and then they were like, they weren't bringing it back. So I was like, oh well, it wasn't meant to be for me, because it's not that deep. As y'all can see, there's a lot of neutral going on here. There's a few like greens and what do you call it, blues, and a little bit of red and orange here, but it's like it wasn't enough for me to be like, yes, I need that, I need all that, I'm going to have to buy that. But when it came back out, I was like, okay, well, since I've heard people rave about this forever and ever and ever, I kind of want to try it out, see how it goes. So now I kind of want to do a video with this, and then we just add the Glam Face palette in here too, just so we can try the face product. So I think I'm actually going to end up doing that instead, because you got to think about it. You'll get to see the cream to powder formula from here, because since this is only 5 shades, they're just all matte and shimmer. So we're going to combine both of these in the video today, just to like get us an idea of how her formulas work and whatnot, if you're new to Natasha Denona. And again, just because I want to play with some more stuff, and I've never played with my Metropolis palette on camera, because, you know, it came out super late, and you know, I know my limitations, and I know when, like, you know, the time has passed and the palette's over a year old. So I was like, I don't need to do that. So I just played with it on my own, gave y'all a cute little picture on Instagram, and kept it moving. So the last one I have to talk about, this is actually the first Natasha Denona $129 palette I bought. I bought this, and I bought the Huda Beauty Nude palette, and that's what pushed me over to be in Rouge to Sephora to where I am to this day. So we have Natasha Denona's gold palette to attribute to that, because I remember the Sunset palette had come out, and it was warm tone. Y'all know I don't really do warm tones. Then the Lila palette had came out. I was interested in it, but I was like, for that price, for all the purples didn't look like they were gonna work for me. And for that price, every single purple in this palette needs to work for me. So I didn't buy that. But when this one came out, Y'all know I was just, y'all, a whole shade just fell out. I don't even know where it went. It just fell out of the paint. It just, where did it go? Oh, okay. So this whole gold shade just fell out. Now I'm thinking I should buy another one during the sale, because like whole shade shouldn't just be falling on my palette, Natasha. What did so this shade right here at the very bottom just fell out. I guess I should be glad it didn't like break into pieces, but now I'm just concerned about using this palette. So I'm like, maybe that was my sign I was supposed to buy another one during the sale. But she hasn't told anything about her Black Friday sale or anything like that. Random side note. But this is the palette that got me to buy a full-size palette from Natasha Denona. Now you know I'm a whole clown, right? Because cover that up and what do you see? She pulled like a Morphe on our asses. It's like, ooh, you get these 3 special shades and like this pukey brown, but it's like, I mean, this pukey yellow shade. What else do you see besides a whole bunch of golds? But I mean, in all fairness, it's called the gold palette, so it's like I'm over here just a whole clown, I guess. But you know, it's cool. I'll be a clown because it's actually still one of my favorite Natasha Denona palettes of all time. And that's that. So I'm gonna go off camera now, get my life in order. We're going to combine the Glam Face palette alongside the Metropolis palette, just so y'all can see how multiple things from the brand works. So I'm gonna go off camera, do one eye, then I will come back and then we will get the eye look done. I'll be right back, girl. Okay y'all, so here is the eye with the Metropolis palette combined with the Natural Glam palette. So I have the blush and the highlight on from the Natural Glam palette. I'll put it on the rest of my face. We're gonna put the face portion on now and then we're gonna get into the eyeshadow look. So I just took the cream blush and the cream highlighter. Again, wait, I don't think the highlighter's cream, but anyway, if you all remember, I told you that people were saying the light palette was drying out, or Morgan Turner said that her light palette had already dried out. Mine is still creamy and working fine, and I've had it for over a year, but let's put the blush on. I like this blush because it's like a your skin tone but better situation. So like if you like natural makeup, and this is one thing thing I do like about the palette, like it has a nice blush that matches my skin tone but still looks pretty natural. That's what I was mostly impressed with when it came to this palette. I put the Mr. Right white pencil from what is it, what's the name of that brand? Crap, I'm trying to remember. The Balm on my lower lash line. That pencil was actually really nice. Now we're gonna put on the highlighter and then I'll put on my eyeshadow primer and we can get into this eye look. So I just used like oranges and greens this time, because I was tempted to use blues and greens, so I was like, I don't want to do that. Let's do some orange and green and yellow. So that's what we did today. So as you can see, I'm just putting on the highlighter. Look how stunning and nice that looks on the skin. It's getting a nice glow from within situation. So let me get some eyeshadow primer and then we'll get into the eye with the Metropolis palette. The only shade I used in the palette that we're using now that's on my face, the Glam palette, was this one for the inner corner. And I actually did put it in the inner corner, so how about that? Of course the battery wants to die now that I've started trying to film the eye look. It's so rude. I'm too lazy to go get up and get another battery. That's why I was leave one in here, so I'm just have to change it real quick and then, you know, go on with life. But we're gonna start off with, I'll show you what shade I'm gonna start off with. I'm gonna start off with this yellow one down here, so I'm gonna dust that on camera a little bit, then I'll do the rest off camera after the battery dies, and then we'll go from there. So I literally took this at the very top, and then I took the orange shade that you see in the crease, well, in the crease, but I just want to start this off so that way I can finish the rest of the yellow off camera and I'll come back and do the orange with you. So I just blended it all in the inner corner right here and then all towards the underneath the brow bone and toward the back like so. So that's what we're working with. I need to go change the battery, so I'll be right back and then we'll get into this orange shade right here. Okay, yeah, so let's get into the orange shade now. Can I show it to you? We'll go right into the crease with this. I'm trying to give more of a, I guess, safari-ish type vibe with this eye, because this makes it think of the Safari Rain palette by putting this orange in the crease. But I feel like it'd be some nice neutral tones that I don't normally like combine together that often, because I don't really do warm looks too often. So I figured the orange would, you know, be a good look for it. Oh, heck. Blend the orange. Real nice. I'm sorry if you hear the cars. other side, I don't control that. So my bad. But I'm trying to get these done, girl. Cause I still need to film a lethal video tomorrow so I can finally make on my holiday palettes. I've been waiting to do that. And then do my favorite eyeshadow palettes of 2022. So I'm waiting to do all that stuff. So I started off with this dark green right here on the outer V. And then I mixed it with this green to get the green that you see right here. Then I just took this yellow gold toward the front. And this dual chrome shade right here, and then we put the inner corner shade in from the glam palette. So I turned the brush one way and took the dark green, and then I turned the brush the other way and put the lighter, well, deeper, more weirdish olivey tone green to make the green that we have on. Even though I feel like it looks really similar to the green that I already have in the palette, so I just wanted to see if this would make a different tone, but I feel like they look about the same. It's my personal opinion they do, so you know, there's that. I like the color of that green. It's just I wanted to use like a different one because I feel like that one's expected to be used by me, especially because I like shades like that. So I just put that green on top of it, and I feel like it made like same color green as the green that's already in the palette. I feel like the green in the palette might be a tad bit lighter than this one, but it's not by like much to where it's a huge difference, at least in my personal opinion. So I could have just saved myself the effort to just use that one. But you know, at last we're here, it's here, everyone's here. Moving on. So I'm gonna take the brush with the yellow on it and just dust underneath here real quick. Just like trying to even out the shape and everything. So I'm feeling the way that looks. I actually didn't put any glitter glue on. I just started rubbing the shimmer on my lid. So we're gonna start with that gold shimmer. And just put it all over the lid, and then I'll go in with the other one I told you about, and then we'll end on the what shimmer is that? The one for the inner corner. But I'm starting off with this gold. Okay, so now I'm going to take that dual chrome shimmer that I showed y'all and put it toward the front of the eye. And what I like about Natasha Denona shimmers is they sew on so smoothly and nice that I didn't feel like I needed to like cut the crease or do anything to like give the effect and shimmer and pop that I wanted. I need to bring up more of the green though, because on this side you can see more green. So we're going to go back in with the darker green. Go over the top. And bring it up here. Just a little bit more. Plus I wanted to cover up where we transition the shimmers to make it look more neat and natural, or more blended better for lack of a better term. So we're gonna bring it like right over here. Then we're gonna go over it with that darker green like I showed you all before. Go over this shade to make it match a little bit better. So that's lovely. Okay, so now I'm gonna take my clean brush and some dust in the crease and right here and all underneath and whatnot. So I'm gonna put a little more of the gold shimmer on. Again, I'm just trying to make sure I pair them nicely together. So I don't want it to be too big a deal. So I'm just lightly putting a little bit over it, just a little bit more there, and I'm gonna go into the dual chrome gel, so a little bit more to the front of there. I'm going to take the brush we already used with the last green shade and just kind of dust around the edges of where we just add more of the gold shimmer back to make sure that everything looks nice and neat. So that's what we're doing. Take my clean brush here. I'll put a little bit more orange. I'll take a little more mustard. Just do that up in here. The mustard I feel like actually blended in quite nice in my skin, better than I expected to, so I was kind of shocked about that. But let's go into the inner corner shade now, and then we will talk. I know my lip doesn't necessarily match my eye. I didn't know what eye I was going to do, so I put on the pink one just to be safe, but I should have put on the nude one. This is Bubbly from Fenty Beauty. If y'all remember in the video where I talked about Mented Cosmetics, I wore the shade Terrible Suit. I'm trying to wear all the ones I got during Black Friday in videos for you all. I actually like the formula now. I'm sad I didn't get to put them in my best of video, but since I just tried them recently, I feel like I should try them out a little bit more before they go in there. So I guess it's a good thing that I didn't try to put them in there like the Rare Beauty highlighters I tried, because those are amazing too, but you know, It's a little too early to be putting all that stuff in there because I just tried it like 20 minutes ago. So, okay, so this is your finished eye look. Backing on up. So now you see why everyone is so obsessed and in love with Natasha Denona. Because tell me the beat doesn't look nice. You can't tell me it doesn't look nice because we both know it does. The eye looks nice, the face, the blush, and the cheek look nice and glowing and natural on the skin and stunning. The eyeshadows blended in smoothly and easily. They built on top of each other nicely. So that's the reason I want to use these two palettes in particular, because if you want more bang for your buck, I feel like this one would be better for the everyday girl who likes stuff, and the person like me who likes color and doesn't mind breaking off that $129 from Natasha Denona. I feel like you would be appreciative of this palette more. I think this is still on her website. Don't quote me. I know I bought mine when she restocked it, so that's another reason I want to show it, just in case she did have it in restock right now, so that you could go ahead and get your hands on it. So those are my thoughts on both the palettes. I think they're stunning, and I want to use these two in particular to give you options as far as buying from Natasha Denona if you didn't want to get the 25 ones because you thought they were too small and you thought the $65 might be too much. I think this is $50, but you get to try her face formulas and her eye formulas. Like I said, if you're really into the big bucks and you just want to see some more looks with the Metropolis palette, I want to show that. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. Remember, you all are diamonds, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Be blessed, girl. Bye.